Hi everyone, this is Catherine from Yemeni Foods, and today I'm going to be showing you how to make sambusa dough from scratch. The ingredients which you need are pretty basic, but I'm not going to lie and say it's not a lot of work, because it is a lot of work. But the ingredients which you need are 3 cups of flour, white regular flour, and 1¼ cup of water, 3 tablespoons of oil, and 1½ teaspoons of salt.
First, mix all the ingredients together to form a smooth ball. You can do this by hand or using a mixer.
So now you can see what the dough should look like after you're done kneading it. Thank God this time it came out just nearly perfect without changing anything, but it usually happens that sometimes the dough's either too dry or too sticky and you have to add either more flour or water, and that's okay, that's normal.
Next, break up the dough into equal sized balls. Here I show 2 different methods to roll out the dough. If you're using the first method, you want to make smaller balls, about 8. And if you're going to use the second method by hand, I would say make about 4 or 6 larger balls. Cover these and let them relax for about 30 minutes. The first method to roll out the dough, I used a pasta attachment for the KitchenAid mixer. It's something I can use a lot for pasta, other types of dough, which I work with a lot. If you don't think you're going to use something like that, then I also showed you how you can do it by hand. So now what you need to do is take one of the smaller dough balls, which we have resting, and dredge it in flour on both sides. Set the dough roller to 1, which is the largest setting to start off with, and roll the dough through on the largest setting. Then I switch it to number 2, which makes a thinner sheet, and then I go ahead and put it through on number 2. At this point, what I did was I folded over the edges of the sheet of dough just to make it a little bit thinner. You don't have to do it, but just helps to keep the shape a little bit better. And then I put it through again on number 1 and then again on number 2. Make sure you keep adding flour to prevent the dough from sticking to the machine. Then I put the dough through on number 3 and up to number 4. If the dough becomes too long for you to handle, what you could do is cut it into either 2 or 3 pieces. Yeah, so I stopped after number 4 because that was thin enough to my liking, but you can keep going if you want thinner dough, it's really up to you. And then what I did was I coated it well with flour on both sides, and I placed them on a baking sheet, 3 in each stack, and then I heated them in a warm oven which was set to 200 degrees Fahrenheit. It's not very hot at all because you don't want to cook it and you don't want it to dry out too much. Just want the dough to dry out enough so that it's easy to work with when you're folding it, and it keeps a nice triangle shape. That's really the only reason. Otherwise, um, it's not a necessary step, but just helps to make the sambusa look nicer. Yeah, and I only put them in the oven for about 4 to 5 minutes. That's all it needs. And you can see what the dough looks like after it's been cooked for a couple minutes. Now to roll out the dough by hand, um, I'm going to take the two larger dough balls, which I made, and I'm going to again coat them in flour to keep them from sticking. And I'm basically gonna try, and if you've seen the video for Maloa or the mutabbak video, it's the same kind of a thing where you just need to toss out a very thin sheet of dough with your hands. So I start by pushing it onto the table until it gets to a large circle, and then I stretch it with my hands. And I am going to place it over the back of a baking pan and kind of just stretch it to fit the shape of the baking pan. You want to try to keep it as even as possible in thickness. Oh, I forgot to mention you need to put oil on the baking pan so it doesn't stick. Once it's stretched over the baking pan, just let it sit for 5 minutes before you cut it so it doesn't shrink back. Cut it into the desired size that you want according to your pan. And again, just place this in the 200-degree oven for about 4 minutes. Once it's done, remove it from the pan, and you can cut off any pieces to make it like a rectangle shape if you want. Then I layered flour in between mine, coated it with flour and stacked it up for storage. I wrapped it in plastic, and if you don't want to use it all today, you could put it in the fridge for a couple days, but also put it in the freezer for a longer time. I like to start off with a triangle on the end. It just makes it easier to make the shape. So I go for like an equilateral triangle shape, and then I put the filling into a triangle shape, and then I fold it over so the triangle's like reversed. First it's pointing down, then it's pointing up, and then fold it over again so it's reversed again, and then continue until the end. If you have any extra on the end, you can just cut it off or tuck it in. And if the end is a little bit dry, sometimes it's dry, sometimes not, but you can put water or water and flour to make it stick. And of course you're gonna fry those, and then they'll come out golden brown. I'm Catherine, thanks for watching my video, and if you're interested in more videos like this one, check out my channel, Shiba Yemeni Foods. Thanks for watching.